Let's see how we can turn this apple into this tiny little apple tree. Before we get started, you'll need a piece of sandpaper, this is 150 grit, or a sharp knife, a sandwich bag, a paper towel, cinnamon, which believe it or not is a natural antifungal, and of course, your apple seeds. Apple seeds have a very hard outer coat which needs to be broken before they can germinate. In nature, birds often do this by passing the seeds through their stomachs. Today, we're going to use our sandpaper to gently sand the outer coat of this seed. You have to be careful you don't go too far with it, and it is kind of difficult to hold the seeds while you're doing this. Whatever works for you is going to work for you. What works for me is to gently push down with a finger and a thumb and rub the outer coat of the seed. It doesn't have to be a lot, and you have to be very careful that you don't go all the way through the seed coat into the embryo. If you find that doing this with sandpaper is a little difficult, which it can be, you can also take a knife and very gently scrape the outside of the seed. I have to warn you though, knives are sharp, it could be dangerous, so be careful please. Also, while you're doing this, you'll note that there's a pointed end of the apple seed. Do not cut that off. That's very important to the seed as it germinates. The process of roughening up the outer coat of these seeds is called scarifying. Once you're done scarifying, take your paper towel, fold it in half. One tip I have here is don't fold your edges exactly even with each other because we're going to be getting this wet and putting it in the bag in the refrigerator. Leave a little overlap like I did here. Unfold your paper towel gently. Spritz it with a little bit of water just to get it damp. We don't need it wringing wet, just damp enough to hold the seeds in place will do. Take your seeds, lay them on the paper towel, space them out about an inch apart. Doesn't have to be exact, and it's not going to affect anything if they're farther apart or closer together. Spritz it again with a little bit more water to keep them in place. Again, you don't need it soaking wet, just damp. Now, we're going to take the cinnamon and gently sprinkle it on. It's not going to affect the flavor of anything. If you're allergic to cinnamon, please don't do this. You might want to do it outside if you have to. Sprinkle just a little bit of cinnamon around each of the seeds. Doesn't need to be a lot. This will serve as a natural antifungal agent and keep the seeds from molding and rotting once we put them into the refrigerator. Give them another little spritz of water, fold it over. Again, give yourself a little bit of an edge. We're going to turn this over and put it into the refrigerator in just a second. Spritz a little more water. Get your sandwich bag. Always have a hard time opening these things. Open a sandwich bag. Carefully pick up the paper towel so that you don't disturb the seeds too much. Slide it in the bag. Give it a little bit of spritz of water. Not a whole lot, just a little. That'll do it. Now we're not going to seal this. When we put it in the refrigerator, we're just going to fold this over. Put that in your refrigerator and check back with it in about a week. Here's a bag that I prepared about a week ago and put in the refrigerator, probably about 10 days ago. You'll notice this one was sealed. I would warn you against sealing it, but you might want to give it a try, see how it works for you. So we open it up, and if you look closely, you can see that a lot of those seeds have germinated. They're growing roots quite well. They're ready to be transplanted. The cinnamon did its job from keeping the seeds from rotting. The cool temperature stratified the apple seeds to force them to germinate. Let's get busy planting. To grow our little trees, we're going to use the 2-cup method. We're going to take a plastic drink cup with holes melted into the bottom or drilled into the bottom, and a regular cup. I like to repurpose these. These were used at a Christmas party. I saved them to reuse them. To melt the holes in the bottom, I use a nail that's been heated up in a flame. Do this outside and with adequate ventilation. That melting plastic is very bad for you. It smells bad and it's really bad for you. You can also use a knife or a drill to poke holes in the bottom of the cup. You'll need 2 for each of the trees that you're going to grow. One, the one with the hole in it, is going to actually house the tree. The other one is going to have rocks or pebbles, or I like to use marbles because I have a giant box of them, in the bottom to hold the inside cup off of the bottom cup. 5 or 6 marbles in the bottom of your cup is plenty to hold the other cup off of the bottom. I like to use sterile seed starting mix for soil. It allows for good drainage and also a sterile environment for the seeds to grow. Drainage is very critical. That's why we poke the holes in the bottom of the cup, and that's why we have the marbles. 1 cup goes inside, sits on top of the marbles, and leaves just enough gap at the bottom and the top to allow for air and water to flow through each cup in case you overwater. Make a little indent, a little hole in the center of each of these cups to accept the seed. We're not going to plant it very deep, only about 1/8 of an inch. Once you have the holes made, very carefully pick up your seeds, which is now a tiny tree. Plant it in. Be careful not to damage that root. Gently press it down, cover it up, just a little bit of soil. You don't need to pack it in there. It just needs a good place to grow. You'll see that I'm trying to plant that with the seed pointed down. So you have to be very careful you don't break, or with the roots pointed down rather. Be very careful. Don't over tamp that either. Just be enough to cover it and hold it in place. Once you've done that, give each one a nice little drink. When you're done, set it in a nice, warm, sunny part of your house, apartment, what have you. I like to put mine in a window that faces south and west. That way it gets plenty of light and plenty of warmth. Again, keep it watered, but not overwatered. And in a few days, you'll see it start to sprout. Good luck with your apple tree, and let me know how it works out for you. Hope it does well. Thanks for watching.